But as believers in Jesus today, Jewish and Gentile, we know that Jesus was that Lamb of God who came. We understand that the Old Testament and the New Testament is one story. One story of redemption. What happened to Israel is a picture of the things God has now done, not just for Jews, but for all peoples around the world, and rescuing us from a deeper slavery than that to Pharaoh, the slavery of sin in our life. Well, if we had the lamb on the table, we'd have a great symbol of the Lamb of God, but we don't have a lamb. However, we do have a ceremony that I think will still point us to the reality of Jesus. I'm going to show you this ceremony. Well, I'm going to show you now, okay? It's done by every family every year at Passover. It comes from later than the time of Jesus. They didn't do this at the Last Supper. But I think it has some significance for us. I've got a bag here. Matzah tash is what it's called, unleavened bread bag. Got 3 compartments inside, which in Judaism everything's small. So some say the 3 compartments stand for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Others say other things. The way this works is ahead of time, there's a piece of matzah in each of the 3 compartments, and the bag is on the table. And then the moment comes for the ceremony where the leader of the Seder reaches into the second or middle compartment and takes out the matzah, breaks it in 2, puts one of the broken pieces into a linen bag or wraps it up in a linen cloth, and puts it out of sight behind a pillow, where it has to stay for a while. Now, interestingly enough, where everything else has a lot of meaning, this ceremony just turns into a game for the kids. Yeah, that's right. At a traditional Passover, when the kids aren't watching, the parents go hide the matzah somewhere else in the room, and the kids go looking for it. And when they find it, you've got to get it back from the kids because you need it for later in the service. So to get it back from the kids is usually a financial transaction that happens. And you pay, the kids the going rate to get it back, whatever that might be. Probably $1 when I was a kid, probably a lot more today. But it has to stay there for a while. While the matzah is under the pillow, we come to the second of the 4 cups. First cup is how we began, cup of sanctification. Second cup is called the cup of plagues, like the 10 plagues God sent on Egypt. When this cup is full, our joy is full. Our joy is complete. But we think that God judged the Egyptians with 10 different plagues, and we can't rejoice over that. So we have to symbolically lessen the joy in our lives. So everyone at the table dips their finger into the cup, and as each plague gets mentioned, you pour a drop off, so you decrease the joy for yourselves. The 10 plagues are blood, frogs, flies, lice, murrain, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and the slaying of the firstborn. It's really our only note of sorrow in the evenings, the cup of plagues. And following the cup of plagues, there actually is a break in the Passover Seder where there's a big meal that's eaten by the family. I regret that I didn't bring the meal with me today, just everything else on the table. But this is where that would be. And Jesus also, he had a meal with the disciples, because we read that he did things after supper. So they had their supper. And it's following the supper that we come to the most important part of the Seder. But to give your mind a little break from this, and then we'll resume, I want us to keep in mind that, that what we're seeing today is really God's intention that the gospel, in a nutshell, would be in the holiday of Passover. That the story of redemption would be here in these ceremonies. That pointers to the Lamb as the way to be redeemed is here in these ceremonies. And the ministry I'm involved with, we are involved in 14 countries around the world to bring this gospel message that we're seeing to our Jewish people worldwide. We don't normally bring the gospel by presenting Passover, but we do that. But we get out there onto the streets and the campuses and the urban areas where Jewish people are. We're focused in North America, in South Africa, in Brazil, Europe. We've got 4 branches in Ukraine, and that's something you can be praying for these days. And we've made a big focus of Israel because we've got our largest branch in Israel. Did you know that there are 6 million Jews in Israel now, as many as there are in North America, and it's growing. And soon Israel will be the leading population center for Jews in the world at this rate. So we're focusing efforts there. And a lot of good things are happening. Israelis are very open. You know, they're very secular there in Israel, like they are here. But not traditional anymore. Israelis, atheists, agnostics, a lot involved in New Age, all sorts of things. But they're open to hearing and to talking about Jesus. So that's a praise. I want to give you a 3-minute visual on a DVD of the outreach we do in New York City, which is similar to what we do in other cities. And then I'll invite you to be part of this work as God puts on your heart. So we can run that DVD.
Hitting the streets of the Big Apple, it's a Jews for Jesus tradition that began in 1974.
We come to New York to make the messiahship of Jesus an unavoidable issue to our Jewish people.
While many New Yorkers are familiar with the ministry, the age-old question of who is Jesus remains controversial.
Jesus is not to be worshipped. Jesus was Jesus. That's it.
There's no such thing as Jews for Jesus. It's something that was made up out of somebody's capacious cup.
Over 2,000 years ago, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" Though the question is old, it remains relevant today. Me, who? Who is he?
And that's the most important question anyone can ever ask in this life. Who is Jesus?
What's your opinion? Who do you think Jesus was?
Who do you think Jesus is?
I can't really tell if there is a Jesus or not.
What do you think Jesus is?
Messiah, Allah, Jehovah, God is one God, honey.
Not only do they ask the question, who is he? They wear it. Part of Jews for Jesus' bold street ministry philosophy.
We're fanatical in the sense that we believe strongly in what we believe. Do you believe in Jesus, or who do you think he is?
I think Jewish is more the culture than anything else. It's about being Jewish. It doesn't mean anything more than that.
I don't believe in you. Okay, go away.
If you can reach a hardened New Yorker and get them to think about a message that's been around for 2,000 years, then you can reach anybody, anywhere.
And then there's something that awakens us.
We have a wonderful group of young people here, passionate about Christ, passionate about evangelism.
I really like having conversations about who Jesus is and why he's so special.
My soul cries out and says, I have to reach them, and never should I give up.
It's awakening the Jewish community. And if we don't do it, who's going to do it?
This is the future of Jewish missions. This is the future of Jews for Jesus.
So you see, we get out there, we're visible, we're vocal, we try and build bridges sometimes, but here's some of the tracks, okay? This one's called Beware of Religious Fanatics Handing Out Pamphlets. Shopping areas, we have shops till you drop. And I love this one, it's Welcome to the Jews for Jesus Bar. There you go. And people, you know, we had this out in New York. People go, oh, I didn't know you have a bar. Where can I go? And they read this and they find out that bar is a biblical word that means son, as in the Son of God. It's in the language of Aramaic. It's not English. So the Jews for Jesus bar is not a place. It's a person. It's Jesus. And that's what they find out when they read this, and we get into conversations. And you know, there's increasing conversation, increasing openness in the Jewish community. Jewish people are coming to faith. Even we're raised, it's not for us, one by one. It's not a mass wave, but one by one we're coming to faith. I want to invite you to be part of this. I want to invite you to be part of this as God puts on your heart. So what I'd like you to do right now is take out this brochure in your bulletins. Passover brochure, there's a lot of stuff there for you to look at later, but if you open it up, there's a part with a dotted line on it. Now bend back and forth on that dotted line. We have a very ancient ceremony we do called the ceremony of carrying the card in unison. It's very ancient. On the count of 3, let's tear the card up. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right. So, what's this all about? This enables you to keep in touch. If you fill out this card with your name, address, there's space for your email, we'll send you 200 Jews for Jesus every month. Not by knocking on your door. That's how many we have on staff. But we've got a newsletter. It looks like what I'm holding up. It's not to send you a lot of unwanted mail, but it's to encourage you that God's working in the Jewish community. If you're a praying person, there's lots of things to pray for each month. You want to know how to share your faith with Jewish people. You want to know how to connect the Old New Testament dots together. Well, we've got it. Director David Brickner has a devotional article for you each month to encourage you in your walk with the Lord. And we would be privileged if you would allow us to be sending that to you. It's free, comes once a month. Another way to be involved with us is by prayer. By prayer. I mentioned Ukraine. Great thing to pray for right now. We've got 4 branches in Ukraine. In eastern Ukraine, if you're following the news, that is the part of the country now that's very uncertain future. Pray for our staff. Pray for their safety and the safety of Ukrainians throughout. Pray that there will be hearts open to the gospel in times like these. A lot of Jewish people are still remaining in Ukraine and Russia. And your prayers would go a long way. What else can I tell you? We've got a literature table here. I'll be here after the service. We've got free things to take. We've got books like Christ and the Passover, which actually goes into what you're seeing this morning in a lot more detail, a lot more depth. It's written by our founder, Moishe Rosen, and his wife, Seal. Old Testament, New Testament, what it means today, and what it means for us personally. I think it's a good book. And also, before we just resume the Passover Seder here, there will be an opportunity at the end to give into an offering for Jews for Jesus. There will be a church offering. Your primary place of giving is Adventure Christian Church, or if you're visiting your home congregation. What you give to Jews for Jesus is in addition to supporting a local church. We believe very strongly in that. So don't trade dollars. But if you are going to give into the Jews for Jesus offering that will go for the work of our ministry, we can receipt you if you fill out the amount on the card. And with or without a donation, just fill this out and you can drop it into the plates when they come by later. So that'll happen at the end of the service. Meantime, we come to the part where we retrieve the matzah that we hid before. And notice this whole ceremony. We started with this bag of 3 compartments. For a Christian, when you say 3 in 1, it certainly reminds us of our God, who's Father and Son and Spirit. But we took the matzah out of the second, or the middle compartment, like Jesus is the second person of the Trinity. We broke it like his body was broken. We put it into a linen bag like he was wrapped up in a linen shroud. We put it behind a pillow and we brought it out like he was buried or resurrected. And this whole ceremony comes from later than the time of Jesus. Could it be that some of the early Jewish followers of Jesus made a statement about who they believed Jesus to be right in the Passover? We don't know. This is a mystery, how this even got into the Passover Seder. But what a great illustration it is in God's providence of who Jesus is and what he's done for us. You know, after we retrieve the matzah, it gets a new name. Another question for your rabbi friend, right? What does afikomen mean? And the traditional answer is something like the dessert, the last thing we eat. But others say afikomen means the coming one. In other words, the coming promised Messiah. And that this bread, therefore, might originally have been a hope and a symbol that God would redeem his people, would save us, like he did in the days of Exodus, so he would save us when the Messiah came.